Dr. Emma Russell, a paleobiologist for the crypto-zoological organization Monarch, and studies giant creatures known as titans. She remembers when Godzilla destroyed San Francisco in 2014. Back in the present, she watches TV, a news anchor reporting due to the last spike from Godzilla, massive animals died in the ocean. After her husband left them, Dr. Emma lives with her daughter Madison. She tells her daughter that she created Orca, a device that is capable of attracting monsters. The ground rumbles and they hear the growling of a monster. She takes her daughter to the Monarch base. At the base, Dr. Tim tells her this thing wants to be born, and they witness the birth of a giant Titanus Missouri. Suddenly all the perimeter alarms turn off and the whole system shuts down. The monster gets out of control and attacks, throwing saliva on people. Tim wants to destroy the monster, but Emma stops him. She goes inside the room to activate the device, but Titanus attacks her. Seeing this, her daughter also goes inside. Emma quickly activates the device before the monster rips them apart. Alan Jonah comes with his goons, kills everyone at the base, and takes Emma and Madison. At the Monarch Senate hearings, the senator says the Monarch organization has failed to put down these monsters. She says maybe it's time for the military to put them down. Dr. Serizawa stands, explaining killing them should be a mistake. We must find a way to coexist with the Titans. Mark Russell, husband of Emma, takes snaps of wild animals in Colorado, where Serizawa arrives to take him. They tell him someone kidnapped his family for Orca. Mark says, I destroyed the prototype, and Vivian tells him Emma rebuilt it after the attack on San Francisco. Mark angrily says the prototype is not to talk with monsters, and if anyone uses the wrong frequency, you're gonna responsible for another attack in San Francisco. Serizawa tells Mark that nobody knows Orca better than you and we need your help to get it back. Mark agrees and they travel to get the Orca. While on the plane, Vivian asks him about Emma. Mark tells her, after the last attack on San Francisco, we went to Boston, but Emma dealt with it by saving the world. Mark to Vivian. I can't tell you how much I hate myself for letting my family see me that way. Coleman interrupts them and shows how Emma combined the bioacoustics of different titans to create Orca's signal. A sort of frequency that all the titans respond to, attracting them, repelling them, and even at times calming them down. Marx asks how many of these titans are there. 17 and counting. After Gojira, Serizawa says. Marx says, why you don't kill them? Serizawa tells him Emma and I believe some of them are benevolent. They reach the Monarch outpost in the middle of the ocean, a facility built to track Godzilla. After landing, Vivian shows them a video of Titan Mothra hiding in Yunnan, China. While a group of terrorists led by Alan took hostage Mark's family. Colonel Diane tells them Alan wants to capture Titan Mothra, which means that Alan and his goons won't be far behind. Mark stands and says Alan doesn't want Mothra, he already has Emma and Orca, which is the key to capturing all titans. Mark asks them to kill every monster to save the world. At Monarch Outpost 32, Antarctica, Alan lands with Emma and Madison and tells them to follow him to Bay 5. Inside the bay, they see Monster Zero freezing in the ice. Alan orders his man to drill and starts Orca to control Monster Zero. Mark watching his family video, and suddenly base starts rumbling. Everyone runs toward the station. It's Godzilla, Vivian said, and the colonel ordered every soldier to weapon up. Serizawa tells them to hold fire, we don't know if he'll attack. The ground rumbles again, and listening to Serizawa, the colonel orders to hold fire. They notice Godzilla's heartbeat slow down and Mark orders them to open the shield of the base. They all look at the Godzilla with shocked faces, and Godzilla glows his light to display dominance. Mark steps toward the shield and Godzilla steps back, growls loudly, and leave. Then, Mark looks at the route and tells them Godzilla is facing the threat, that's why he leaves us alive, and Serizawa asks Dr. Santon about his projection. Santon says all paths have him landing in the same place, Antarctica. They reach Antarctica and Alan implants detonators in the ice and leave the place. The colonel goes inside the lab while Mark, Santon, and Serizawa watch them from outside. The detonator explodes, a fight occurs. Seeing this, Mark runs inside the lab while Chen tells Serizawa she found the EKG reading. Mark finds his wife and daughter and tells them to leave. Emma says sorry and presses the button of the explosion and ice starts falling. Alan takes them both with him and tells Emma to launch Orca to wake up Monster Zero. On the ground, the whole base falls to the ground, and Emma watches his husband and connects the frequency to awaken the Monster Zero. The monster rises beneath the surface, raising his three-faced head and growls. Soldiers open fire on the monster, but he fires from his mouth and kills several members of the Monarch team. Madison is screaming to see his helpless father, but Emma takes her inside and turns off the frequency before the monster opens fire again. Godzilla also reaches there to fight Monster Zero while Mark and the others are just looking at the monsters. Both monsters start fighting and Monarch's team helicopter skids on the ground. Godzilla and Monster Zero strike each other, but Monster Zero shows dominance and Godzilla falls. Monster Zero attacks on humans, killing Dr. Vivian. Godzilla awakens again, but the monster flies away and Mark hits the helicopter hard and is knocked unconscious. Back at the base, team is searching for the monsters while Colonel Foster tells Coleman that Emma is working for Alan and pulls the trigger. Coleman takes her side, but Dr. Rick says maybe Alan forced her and used Madison as leverage. Marx comes and tells them it is Emma, she is working with them. They look at the chart where Godzilla is heading toward Mexico, but Mark asks what about the people. Dr. Serizawa says they sent the G-team to begin an evacuation. Emma contacts them and argues that the Titans must be awakened in order to heal the planet from damage that humans have caused. She argues that life sprouted wherever the monsters fought, caused by their radiation. Jonah and Emma awaken Rodan, the fire demon, in Mexico. The army reaches the village to evacuate people, but then the Rodan monster awakens from lava. Coleman tells them Monster Zero changes his direction and approaches to face Rodan. Monarch lures Rodan into fighting the approaching Monster Zero, but Monster Zero swiftly defeats Rodan before being ambushed by Godzilla, who severs one of its heads. During the fight, the Navy launches a prototype missile called the Oxygen Destroyer, seemingly killing Godzilla. Monster Zero survives, regrows its lost head, and awakens all the other dormant Titans around the world, with Rodan submitting to its rule. Due to this, Madison disowns her mother. In Boston, in one of Monarch's end of the world bunkers where they are hiding, Emma realizes that the destruction Ghidorah and the other Titans will bring to the Earth is far worse than what humans could inflict, but Jonah ignores her pleas. Madison overhears this and steals the Orca. Boston is instated with martial law by the order of the president and under control by the US military. Madison also arrives at evacuation center and broadcasts a frequency at Fenway Park that calms and unwittingly attracts the Titans to her location. Through mythological texts, Dr. Eileen Chen discovers that Monster Zero is Ghidorah, an ancient alien seeking to terraform the Earth. Mothra emerges from her cocoon and flies to Monarch's Bermuda base to communicate with Godzilla, who survived the detonation and is recuperating in an ancient underwater city. Via submarine, the team locates Godzilla's lair, where the whole area is highly radioactive. They deduce that it will take years for him to heal, and decide to detonate a nuclear warhead to fibrillate him. Dr. Serizawa sacrifices himself, since the weapons system of the submarine was damaged, by manually detonating the weapon, which revives Godzilla and increases his power. Ghidorah lands in Boston to destroy the Orca, with Godzilla arriving with Monarch's assistance to engage it. Mark leads a team to rescue Madison and escape the city after learning that Godzilla's radiation levels are increasing and will lead to a thermonuclear explosion. Mothra arrives but is intercepted by Rodan, whom she defeats. Ghidorah overpowers Godzilla and prepares to kill him, but Mothra sacrifices herself and transfers her energy to Godzilla, rapidly healing him. Mark, Emma, and Madison are reunited and reactivate the Orca to lure Ghidorah away from Godzilla. Emma kisses her daughter and tells Mark to take Madison. I still have to activate Orca. While Monster Zero bites on Godzilla's neck and Emma activates the Orca to distract the monster. Hearing the frequency, monster flies toward Emma, destroying buildings. Emma sacrifices herself, giving Mark and Madison time to escape. Godzilla enters a newly empowered state, glowing red and melting everything around him. He defeats Ghidorah with nuclear pulses and disintegrates the last head. Rodan and the other Titans converge on Godzilla and bow to him. Godzilla growls, showing his dominance, and becomes the leader of the Titans. While Mark, Madison, and other members of Monarch's team look at the monsters. News clippings and Monarch files show that the Titans are helping to heal the Earth. A suspected second Mothra egg has been discovered. Some of the Titans are converging on Skull Island, and ancient cave paintings show Godzilla battling Kong. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this.